Good evening, Lenny here. Today I'm wearing my Seiko Solar with a day date. I forget the exact model number of it, but it's probably one of my favorite watches. It's very comfortable to wear, and I think it looks very classy and a little subdued. But we're going to talk about the WALTHAM Pocket Watch a little bit, give you a little update. This is the mainspring, and this is the other part of the mainspring. And as you can see, it's broken. The reason it's bent up is because I had to take some measurements and I had to lay it out flat. I realized it was broken when I went to clean the thing. First I had to catalog that it's a T-type end. That's the way it locks itself into the mainspring barrel. I also had to get a few other measurements with my calipers. I had to get the width of it, which turned out to be 2.9. And I also had to get the thickness of it, which is also known as the strength of the spring. And it's 0.2, might be 0.22, but either way, I also had to get the length, and it's also a good idea to get the inside diameter of the barrel. Turns out I didn't really need that to find the right model spring, but yeah, I found it. It should be here tomorrow. So once I get the part in, I'll do an assembly and a lubrication video. Super excited. But right now, I want to show you some of the parts. These are all the parts from the little watch. I cleaned everything. I finally got the keyless works out of there. And I mean, they're not pretty. I wasn't going for pretty, I was going for clean. I used a mixture of naphtha and olive oil. Now the naphtha is used to get all the lacquer off, all the grease that turned to lacquer, and also the olive oil is used to leave a protective coating on it. Anyway, so I took this watch to work today, and as I was setting the time, I realized that the crown came off while I was trying to set the time. Thankfully, I had another watch with me. But it just fell off just like that and kind of blew my mind. So I'm gonna put that thing back on today, and we're gonna talk about it. So first thing, I'm gonna take my NATO strap off. I got this NATO strap from Cincy Watchworks, or Cincy Strapworks, and they sent me, I ordered a 22 and they sent me an 18. And I got in touch with their customer service, sent them an email, nobody responded. And so yeah, if you're looking for a nice NATO or Zulu strap, I'd go somewhere else other than Cincy, because they were no help at all. They sent me the wrong shit, and they were no help when I tried to get in touch with them about it. But this watch is kind of a tight fit for it. Either way, probably shouldn't be wearing it because it's going to bend my spring bars, but I have extra, it's alright. So I got those things out. That was kind of a pain. Set them aside, and now we can have the watch case. So the next step is to get this case back off, and it's kind of a weird way it works, because the case back is actually the case that the movement sits in. So to do that, I'm going to grab my my case knife, and I got to pop two little lugs up, and just like that. You see those two little lugs? They're spring loaded, so you have to take it off at one end and kind of pry it up. But now that that's out of there, you can see the crystal. Very cheap, very plastic. It's even got a crack in it. Gotta find a replacement somewhere. Not sure where I'm gonna find that, but take off this little water resistance gasket. I wouldn't even wash my hands with this watch on, but so I gotta get the stem out. So to do that, I'm gonna screw the crown back on carefully, slowly, and there we go. Pull it out, put it back in, make sure it works right. So I zoomed in a little bit, put my case in a movement holder, case in a case holder, and you see that little button I'm putting in there? When the crown is depressed all the way in, you press that button and you pull the crown out. Or the stem, rather. So here's a close-up of the stem. Looks pretty good. So now I've got to take the crown off the stem so I can glue it back on there. So I got me some super glue, some cheap stuff. I'm going to leave a little bubble on there. I'm going to put my stem in there and make a little bit of dab. Just try to cover a couple of threads. Don't want too much on there. And very gently but very quickly screw the crown back on the stem. Not too tight because I don't want to break anything. And I'm going to set that aside and let it sit for a second. So I couldn't take this watch apart without showing you guys the movement. So I pulled it out of there very carefully. I'm only touching the plastic case ring. But yeah, it's a Seiko. It's not running because the stem's out, because this thing hacks, because it's a baller. Pretty nice. I'm not exactly sure how old this watch is, but it's before the Seiko 5. I don't know, decent cheap movement. I mean, it's Seiko, it's gonna last me a while. I should probably give it a servicing. I'll probably do that soon. Can't wait for that video. So I'm gonna push this stem back in, just like that. Yes. And well, now we gotta get it back into the rest of the case. But man, isn't that pretty? Oh, I love it. Love it. So I'm gonna drop the glass back in, or the crystal, plastic crystal. The water resistant band back in. Nice little O-ring. Make sure it's sitting exactly where it needs to sit. And because the crystal sits a little higher than the case, I gotta lift the case up and put the movement in the exact same way I took it out. And actually more of a pain in the ass than I show here on the video. This was like the second try. But this try just popped right back in there. And anyway, that's about it. Thought I'd give you guys a little update, a little tidbit on how to fix your stem. You can do this yourself. It's not that hard. I would use Loctite rather than super glue, but I didn't have any of that laying around. But anyway, thanks for watching.